Hello everyone, in this video I'm going to be showing you how you can create some basic text effects using Gimp. And we might even get into some, because the text effects I'm going to show you, they use a shadowing technique or a lightness technique, and so I'm going to show you how to use those. And so depending on how much time we have, I might even show you how to create some realistic looking shadows as well. So let's get into it. You can see here that I have a canvas open in Gimp, and I'm just going to start by using some text. And I'm going to use the text tool by selecting the A up here, and then I'm going to I think I'm going to use the permanent marker font. So I'm going to start typing it and click it. Now you can click this icon here and scroll through and find one that you like, but I knew that I was going to want to use this one called permanent marker. And the size of the text is set to 20 right now. I'm going to make something a little bit bigger than that. I'm going to go to 72. And the color I want to be, let's make it a blue color. Or you know what? Let's go with kind of a darker red. This might work better for what we're doing here. So after I get the color selected specifically, I'm going to click OK. And now I have my text all set up the way I want it. I have my font, my size, and my color. This size may not be exactly right, but we'll see when we type it out. So I'm going to click in here. It's going to be too small, I can tell. And I'm just going to type out the name of the channel here. And I want to make this a little bit bigger, so I'm just going to up this. Let's go to 180. Alright, and then I'm going to change to my move tool so I can slide this thing around somewhere. So that's some text that we can work with here. Let's make this, let's add a drop shadow. Now, you know what I think I'll do? I think I'll duplicate this and I'll leave it like it is here, but I'll duplicate it by coming over here and right clicking the layer that has that text and then selecting duplicate layers. And now I have another one and I can drag it down here. But what we want to do is we want to put a drop shadow on this, or use the drop shadow effect to kind of make this pop, to make it stand off of the background a little bit. And to do that, we just come up to filters and we can come down to light and shadow and then come down to drop shadow. Right, so you can see there's a drop shadow behind it. It looks like there's a light over your left shoulder shining down and to the right and hitting the text and casting that shadow on a surface that's behind the text a little bit. Now you can adjust that shadow. You can make it closer by clicking the X and Y axis up here and just bringing it in closer. And if you take that so there's another version where the shadow, it's a little bit closer to the surface now. But if you take this all the way down to 0, and I don't know how well you can see it, but now it kind of looks like it's glowing, right? And glowing probably isn't the best word to use in this case because it's not really a glow, but if you ramp up this border radius or the blur radius, it basically gets it lighter and lighter. If you take it down, Let's leave it at 10, and then I'll show you. I'll just make this glow a little bit more apparent. Let's take the opacity of the color we're using up, and now you can see it a little bit better. Where it really becomes a glow is if you, let's create another layer here, and we'll fill it with the background color, which is set to black up here. So black, we're going to fill this layer with black, the background color. And now you can't even see the glow on this copy, but if we were to go into the filters and re-show this drop shadow and change the settings to exactly like they were before, only change this to white. Now you're starting to get the idea of why you could call that a glow, because it's actually glowing. Now you can put blend options on this too, so see if you, depending on what you set your blend option to on the text itself and on the glow. Now in this situation it's not really going to do a whole lot because we don't have anything underneath the text, but that is something to keep in mind. We're just going to stick with the normal called replace, I guess. Actually, what was the difference between that and merge? Nothing really. The merge doesn't really change it. You just have to, with these blend modes on, especially on this drop shadow, the blend modes, you're going to have to tinker with it to just see what they do. I might do a separate video on blend modes using different layers that will kind of demonstrate how they work, because blend modes on layers, you can make the colors interact specifically with in between the two layers or the multiple layers that you stack. You can do all kinds of interesting things with blend modes, but usually what I find myself doing is I just use this for either a glow like we're using it here, or I'll use it for a I'm going to turn this dark one off and leave that black glow on that other one. I'll either use it for a glow or I'll use it for what I'm going to do now, and that is a drop shadow. And usually when I use a drop shadow, I just take the X and Y down all the way to 0, decrease the blur radius so it's nothing, and then I ramp up the opacity all the way to 1. And then you can do a couple of things. You can put a border around the text. Starting from this point, you can put a border around the text by making the grow radius larger. And we didn't have, I had the background layer selected. We need to select the text that we want to operate on, so my apologies for that. So let's select the layer that we need and come up here to filters and do all of that again. Let's go down here to light and shadow, go to drop shadow, set these to 0. Set them to 0. Set this to 0, take this down to 0 just to get a good starting point, and then ramp this up to full so we can see it. And now we'll put the border around the text by doing the grow radius. So obviously you can go as big as you want on this. You can make it grow together if you wanted. And let's say you were making stickers. This is a good way to make a sticker that basically has a background that follows the text. So you could do that and put that really large border on it, or you can make it a smaller border just to kind of make it stand off the page. This kind of stands off the page a little bit. Or what you could do is take this down to 0 or make it 1 and then offset that and turn it into an actual drop shadow and make it, it just adds a little bit of a little bit more interest. You don't really notice it when you look at a composition. It might not stand out immediately to somebody who's just looking at the image, but look at this compared to this. This looks a little flat. It looks kind of flat, less interesting. This looks like it's almost asking for your attention. So just that little bit of an effect can make a big difference. And you can do it with, you can do it with different colors. Let's say you wanted to make that green, you could do it very easily. Now, one of the things that's new in the newer versions of Gimp that hasn't always been that way, these effects, you can actually go in and adjust them after you put them on some text. So right now we have a black drop shadow on this text. But if you look over here, right, you have the effect that's applied. And if you click this icon, you can either delete the effect, you can merge it so that it's permanent, or you can come up here and edit the selection. You can edit that same effect that we've already created. So we can change the color of it to, let's say we wanted to do something in the green. Let's make it a bright green, something really noticeable. And you see over there in the, actually I think I like the idea of yellow better than green. You can't see the yellow as well, but how about bright red? Maybe that. You get the idea. You can tinker around with it, but the idea here is after you create it, it's not carved in stone. It's not permanent. You can still make it permanent if you want by clicking this and merging them. But now let's say we want to put another effect on this. What if we wanted this to glow too? So we'll come over here and we'll create another drop shadow. See how we're stacking them up? We could make this glow pink. Let's see if we can make it glow pink. What we have to do is get our drop shadow color set to this nice vibrant pink color, like that, and then select it and then ramp this all the way up, and then change the offset so that it's nothing, and then make the grow radius bigger and the blur radius. The lower you go on the blur radius, the more in focus the glow becomes. So we could do black. I just wanted something that would be obvious, that would stand out on this background. So you get the idea. You can adjust these. The point we're making here with this part of the demo is you can stack these effects. So now we have it glowing and it's got a drop shadow. And if we set that, we've added another effect to the stack, so to say. Let's add one more. Let's do another drop shadow, only we'll do it orange. So we'll go filters, light and shadow, drop shadow. There it is again. Let's take this down to 0. Take this down to 0 and ramp our opacity up. Change the color from black to orange. Something very, very bright orange. Like that. And then let's make the, we don't want to set a grow radius, well maybe just like 2, a grow radius of 2. And then let's make it stand off of the original text. Now, did you notice what's happening? We've stacked these effects in a specific way, and it always adds to what's underneath. So what we're seeing here is that this effect is being applied to the shadow, the pink or the glow, and the text and the previous drop shadow. So everything is getting the effect on it. If I wanted to, what I could do is I could have done these in a different order. So when you have these drop shadows, you can move them around to see what difference it makes on the overall effect. And if I would have done them in a different order, they probably would have. So this is what we want. This is what I was after. So what I need to do is I need to edit that drop shadow. So let's see if we can edit this one. Well, that's the pink one, so cancel that. We're looking for the orange one. This is the orange one. So now let's take this down closer to the red, like that. Now clearly this isn't a good color combination. I'm just selecting colors that are very vibrant and they're not anything alike so that you can see what the effect does. And hopefully you get the idea here that you can arrange these effects, and where you put them makes a difference in how the overall appearance looks when it's all said and done. But now if you want to merge all of these effects down into the text, you could do that here, and now that's permanent. Now you have one permanent text item. Let's see what, yeah, so you still lose it. That used to happen with the other version of, let's see if we can edit it and retain the effects. I don't think we can because we merged them already, but if we go back, that's the beauty of these non-destructive effects. If we wanted to put an exclamation point on the end of that, we basically have a style for text that we can use, and we can reuse it. Well, maybe not reuse it, but you can add to the text that you already have. And if you duplicate this text layer, like if I come up here and do Control-Shift-D and duplicate that, now I have another text layer that has, so in a sense you can reuse it. Like if I wanted to create a different text, right, like that, you could do that, and it would let you do it, and it keeps all the settings in the style that you basically created in the other text. So that's basically a small demonstration of text effects, how they work together, how you can stack them, how you can arrange them after they're already created. You can change the stack order and it affects the way it looks, and how you can reuse them in the same work just by copying an existing text layer that has all those effects stacked on it. We also talked about how you can merge them to make them permanent. That's called destructive editing. This way is non-destructive because you can always go in and change whatever you have already done. So this is a newer feature of the newer Gimp versions, where you can create these effects and they stay. I can't remember which version it came in, but the older versions of Gimp you would destroy. You had to basically lock it in, and you couldn't go in and do all this stuff that I've showed you how to do in this video. So that is a nice little introduction to text effects using Gimp. I hope that helps, and thanks for watching.